It's a full moon. I came on the mic just to murder beats, and now I'm ludicrous to disturb the peace. And now I look at rappers like a herd of sheep, and when I look around I get the thirst to eat. Throw rhymes like knives to the first to bleed. Speak under your breath if you heard of me. Nobody burning me up.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to Bodybag Podcast. I'm Chris Thomas, and with me as always, Broke Writer Dave.
How we doing, everybody?
And we are not alone. We are actually,
Nope.
I kind of feel like our guest right now is kind of like extended family just because she's over in my old neck of the woods. I mean, she was born in Florida, but right now she lives in Atlanta. And her, as it says on her page, her, not a house, her gothic estate.
Yes, my gothic manor.
Her
and
gothic,
mansion or whatever it is.
Her gothic manor. The author of Where Did the Wind Go? And the Crow Lord with us is Julie Failde. Or Julie Failde, sorry.
Hello! No worries.
I was like, all right, make sure to get the last name right, and then screwed up the first name.
Well, can I say you nailed the last name. You got it perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes, I'll take it.
Nice.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We're back in the United States. Last time our guest was from Paris. So we are back in the
States.
Back in the States. And we're going to be talking about a genre of movie which, as I was talking to Dave, isn't necessarily my wheelhouse, but I like it all the same. We're talking some ghosts today. Ghosts and demons and ghouls and goblins.
Yeah.
So you don't like ghosts?
No, I didn't say I don't like ghosts. It's just it's probably just the genre of movies that I'm least familiar with.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I've seen my fair share. I've seen, some of the classics like Paranormal Activity and I don't know, Ghostbusters. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I have
Wait,
seen
is Paranormal Activity old enough to be considered a classic now?
How old is it?
Oh man, I think it's from the
wanna
early
say it was
2000s, maybe?
2008 or 9.
It's a couple years away. I think something has to be at least 20 years old to be considered a classic.
Yeah, I was in high school when it came out, so
It's a couple years away.
called a classic made me feel old.
But we will get into that momentarily. But first, our author. Let's talk about you real quick.
Woohoo, yeah.
I do have one quick question before we get
Okay.
into something serious note. Have you yet found the elusive chupacabra?
I'm still searching. I really think I almost found him in this part of Florida we call the Redlands, which is just like a whole farm area.
Mm-hmm.
But, he keeps evading me.
I think that everybody, when I think chupacabra, I think everybody was looking in the wrong place. Everybody has been looking like in New Mexico or that
Yeah, that's
kind of
right.
area.
Go to look, yeah.
Nobody
Yeah,
thought that he'd be hiding out in Florida.
I mean, it just makes sense, We got so many Hispanic people down there.
Mhm.
I'm half Puerto Rican, half Cuban, so I feel like he's probably a distant relative, maybe.
Hmm.
Who knows?
You have a better chance of catching him than
Yeah,
Yeah.
or catching. I don't know if you're trying to catch him. You just want to talk to him. You just want to.
I just want to see him with my own eyes. Yeah, witness
Yeah.
him.
I want to believe.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
All right, now that the important question is out of the way, Dave, he is the reader of the group, so he had some homework. Once we knew that you were going to be coming on the show,
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
so Dave, why don't you go ahead and take it away from right here now?
So far, I'm about a third of the way through Where Did the Wind Go?
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, really enjoying it so far. Kind of has supernatural
Mhm.
/ Vampire Diaries type vibes of a book.
Yeah, so that was totally my goal. I grew up pretty much watching every kind of supernatural TV show, obviously Supernatural, but Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Teen Wolf, even Scooby-Doo's in that mix.
Speaking of Buffy, as of this recording, I got to say R.I.P. to Paul Rubens, who played one of the best vampires.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. R.I.P. Phoebe.
Definitely R.I.P.
Yeah.
But go on.
So yeah, no, it's just all of those things definitely brought inspiration to this book, and I kind of just wanted that more lighthearted feel where there's still stakes in everything, but it's also fun.
I'm looking at the cover art right now. It looks like something I would have read while I was in high school. It has a very cool. I haven't read it, but it feels nostalgic to me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
My cover artist actually is the same friend that I mentioned before the podcast that lived in Columbus, and she drew it herself, and we kind of just had like the same vision for it. And she is a graphic designer, so it kind of just was perfect.
You want to give him a shout out?
Sure. Shout out to Anto Mar. If you're looking for any graphic designers, you could find her online.
So how did you, what was the process coming up with the title of Where Did the Wind Go?
Oh my gosh. So originally the title was very bad. It was just, I think The Ghoul in the Forest was the very first running title. And I wrote the entire book, was like starting the publishing process already, like starting with the editing, starting all that. And then I kind of gave it to some people, friends, family, mostly. Nobody like, no beta readers or anything like that yet. And my boyfriend saw it and he was like, this name feels very childish. And I was like, ooh, the criticism.
Childish, like in a good way?
I was like, maybe that's the goal. And he's like, no, like it feels like a kid's book. And I was like, ooh, okay. So then he actually came up with this title, and I'm deciding if there's a spoiler, but it's also like not, it's a very obvious spoiler, so I don't know if I should say it or not.
All right, here's your warning right now if you don't want to get spoiled.
Yeah.
So the creature in the book is a Wendigo.
Oh, I love Wendigos. That's my top favorite like creature.
I love them, so I wanted to explore that a lot. So we kind of started talking about that, and so Where Did the Wind Go is a play on Wendigo. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those like, I should have realized that all along.
Well, now it's going to be super obvious now when Dave finishes it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I love that now. That makes the title a lot. Okay. I was going to say in your defense of your first title, I was like, yeah, you know what? People put way too much like a title has to be like super fancy or whatever. Goblin in the Forest doesn't sound bad. But once you explained Where Did the Wind Go, I was like, oh no, that's
clever.
Yeah.
That's
the
clever.
moment I heard it, I was like, oof, that's the one.
Did you when he was pitching that idea, were you like, damn it, yeah, that is good?
That was my exact reaction.
I was like, I want to be able to like kind of crap on that title, but damn it, I can't.
Yeah, I was like, man, it's just so good. It's perfect. God.
So in the book, little spoiler, one of the characters, Riley, has this vibing ability where she turns into any creature that's near her.
Yes.
Which is really unique.
Thanks.
How did you come up with that? Like, I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome.
I think that was actually like one of the first ideas for the book. I knew I wanted a supernatural town. So the night that this story all came to me, I had Simon, Miles, and Riley. And I knew that I wanted Riley to kind of like turn into things. And then from there, it all kind of just waterfalled into like, oh, but what if like it's all these creatures and it's kind of like she's a medium and she just turns into stuff. And that's kind of where it went from there.
It just sounds very fun. I'm kind of upset that I gave Dave the homework. This sounds like very fun.
It is a very enjoyable read.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna something I usually ask all of our authors, but the characters and any of the situations, how much would you say, or if any of it, is taken from your actual life?
So a lot of the main character, Simon, he is a little bit of me for sure. It was weird because I don't know, just writing a teenage boy was definitely something that I had to like go back and like tweak a lot. But his like core personality, how he was with his parents, like all of that was very similar to me and how I am with my parents. And back in high school, I got my mom super into Supernatural, so we would watch it all the time. Or my parents would sit there and watch Ghost Adventures with me because I was obsessed, and they don't really care about that stuff, but watch it with me. So there are some moments in this book where Simon is having those kind of interactions with his parents, and that is kind of on the same wavelength of like what I was doing, and just all his craziness of being obsessed with, you know, aliens and the supernatural is I want to believe so bad.
Like the third or fourth person who has told us that they are like a huge Supernatural fan. I wish I could get into it.
I don't get how you can't. It was such a great show.
Every time people
so
talk
good.
about it, I keep like I just wish I can't get past half the first season. It's just
actually the first season's my favorite.
It just feels like it's like kind of rinse, lather, repeat. Is like they're gonna argue and they're gonna split up, and then Dean's gonna come back like halfway through and be like, "All right, I'll save you." I don't know.
It was those savior moments that were definitely the ones that got me, because I love Dean.
Well, everybody loves Dean now. Now he's been like Soldier Boy, and he's been,
oh god, love The Boys.
The Boys is such a great show.
It is.
Yeah,
and I'm so excited for that too.
Yeah, I should probably watch it.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah, another show you need to get into.
Maybe
I will
go. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I will say though that I am a Supernatural fan, but I'm also kind of a bad Supernatural fan, because I have not seen like the last like 3 seasons. I've seen like bits here and there, but then once they ended it, I heard the ending and I was like, you know, I think I'm good. I'm just gonna pretend I don't know what happened to them.
Well, that's good for me, because maybe I don't know how cutthroat the Supernatural fan base is, but I'm so far away from it that people won't care if I haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen the last 3 seasons, I imagine y'all's group will be like, "How could you not have seen the last 3 seasons?"
So don't worry, I'll take the brunt of the damage.
I'm a lost cause over here. You're like, well, he hasn't seen it. Don't even talk about him.
Well, I mean, the last couple seasons leading up to the last one were kind of iffy. But I feel like in the last season, they kind of righted the ship and had a fairly good ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
See about getting the Winchesters on this show.
Yeah.
I could tell them to their face how I've never watched an episode.
Well, talking about like TVs, there's a lot of mention of like ghost hunting shows in the book.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite one besides Ghost Adventures, or is that just the one? There?
Man, so Ghost Adventures, and you know, it's one of those shows that it's definitely a guilty pleasure, because I know it's horrible. So I would say that's probably my favorite, just because of how much they do it up. But lately, like as of the last 2 years, I've been super invested in the BuzzFeed Unsolved channel, and now their Journey and Watcher and Ghost Files and all that, which is like a YouTube thing more than TV. And so it's fun because it's not like as commercialized as the like Ghost Adventures would be. So I think those are probably my favorite like ghost hunting-esque shows right now.
Okay.
I understand what you mean about guilty pleasure. Like once in a blue moon, I'll get the urge to watch one of those kind of shows, though.
Yeah.
Like late at night, just we're walking through this old house, and what's that on the spectrometer?
And they're like, "Oh my god, bro! Oh my god!"
Did you see that? Did you feel that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, exactly.
The kind of stuff that they made fun of in South Park.
Exactly. It feels like a South Park episode watching it.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll throw it on in the background while you're doing other things.
Exactly. I usually put it on like while I'm reading something else, trying to multitask my brain.
Yeah. Something you really don't have to focus on too much.
Exactly.
So between this one and Crow Lord, something that I like to ask as well are authors. I don't know if you know, sometimes they do it unconsciously or consciously, but do you find yourself like coming back and revisiting like running themes in your stories? Like
go ahead. No, continue.
Like sometimes we have authors who they revisit the themes of like addiction. Some have they revisit fear of the unknown. Do you find yourself kind of revisiting like certain themes like that?
I would say so. My writing is very, I almost want to say strange, because I don't stick to like specific genres. Like Where Did the Wind Go is young adult horror, but then this Crow Lord book is fantasy romance. So they're very different in that respect, where I literally am like having my brain is one, and then I have to turn that part off and put on the other. But I always try to have something spooky happening in background. So I would almost say that like a little element of horror is my reoccurring
Well, that's good.
yeah.
Just whatever story, just add in a little bit of fear.
Yeah, exactly. Like I always want just a little bit of darkness and a little bit of spooky.
I like that. I mean, good for a horror channel.
Exactly.
What was the inspiration of the town of Ravenswood?
So,
I really like the name of the town.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I came up with the town name like as I was writing the book because I kind of sucked at outlining this book, and I wrote like maybe the first 3 chapters before I ever actually sat down and did the full outline. And I know the town kind of was just inspired by like my family had a cabin up in North Carolina in Boone. So I was like, oh, this would be a really cool
I've been
setting.
there.
Yeah. I enjoyed it a lot, so it was very different than what I was used to. And then on top of that, all the TV shows that I mentioned earlier, like they always have a town that isn't real, and it's just kind of this weird self-contained little oddity of a place. And I was like, I want to make that. So I went on Google Maps and I just like pinned a spot. I was like, this is where Ravenswood is. And then I drew a little map of the town for myself and I did all that. And so I had it very visually laid out in my head the whole time I was writing it, which helped a ton. But yeah, I think it was just that I wanted a town where things happen and it's just randomly in the middle of the woods and people don't know about it. It could be real or it could be fake.
Yeah, it definitely felt like small North Carolina town. Because I spent a lot of time in like New Bern, Jacksonville, and then you drive like 35 minutes, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly, yeah. And I remember like the drive to Boone was always like, oh man, there's literally nothing here.
No.
But then you get somewhere else and there's a college that's super popular.
I think that might be the theme for this season because I think we've watched a couple of like horror in a small town movies this this season.
Oh,
yeah.
That kind of leads into, if I could redirect to the Ghoul Gang.
Yes.
I'm sitting here. I'm looking at the merch, and I gotta say, I think that a Ghoul Gang beanie is in my near future.
That's awesome.
Are we going? Is the Ghoul Gang? Are we going to expect, or can we expect any further adventures from the Ghoul Gang?
Definitely. So I actually already have written a prologue for my planned second book for this, and the whole goal I think is to have like a series of Ghoul Gang books. Originally, way back in the day, I was almost wanting like a Goosebumps style storytelling where it's very like episodic, but in book form, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I think now that I've written this one and it's longer form, I ideally would like 4 to 5 books of them.
Okay.
Do you have any ideas of what types of creatures you're gonna have the Ghoul Gang explore?
We got the Wendigo.
Yeah.
Yes. So the main antagonist of the next book is actually in this book at some point.
Okay. I won't have you spoil what the creature is for the next one. So,
I mean, it's not like a total spoiler. It's one of those where like if you're a horror fan, you'll pick up on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't mind spoiling.
It's weird. This guy won't come in your house unless you invite him in. I wonder what kind of creature.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go to your boyfriend and say, all right, I need a title?
I might. I've been thinking about it already. I'm like, I don't know how to like what word to use with this one. And yeah, but this next book is gonna take, I feel like it's gonna need a lot of research because it's more of I'm gonna call it an entity. It's more of an entity that I am familiar with, but also in real life very afraid of. So I have not looked into it that much, and I'm like, okay, let's get to it.
So that means it should be pretty cool if you're writing about something you're scared of.
Well, I was very afraid of the Wendigo when I started writing that one because all like the research is, the more you think about it, the more you look into it, the more you talk about it, the more aware of you they become. And I was like, ooh, they're going to be real aware with me with all my Google searching.
Yeah.
They're like the government.
Yeah.
This is just kind of like a question I ask everybody about their books.
Yeah.
If it was going to be adapted into a movie, who would you want to be casted to play Simon, Miles, and Riley?
Oh my
Then
god, that's
who
so
would you want to direct it?
Okay, I already know the answer to my directing question because I love him. Mike Flanagan.
Everybody
100%.
loves Mike. Yeah, that's been the
Yeah.
common answer. Everybody
Yeah,
likes
yeah,
Mike
we
Flanagan.
love him. And honestly, I know it got a lot of hate, but I really liked the Midnight Hour. Is that what it's called?
Midnight
Yes.
Mass.
Or the one he did after that, where it was like more of a young adult show.
Oh.
Oh, I know.
Oh, and Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah.
That would be the last one that
Oh.
I watched. By the way, since we're talking,
That was a good one, yeah. But
Haunting of Hill House
I do
is
think it is
my favorite.
Midnight
Yeah.
Hour. Yeah.
he changed the game of when Haunting of Hill House came out. Everybody was talking about it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I have rewatched that show. I think I'm going on 5 times now.
And trying to pick up on stuff that you didn't catch last time, right?
Yeah.
Every single time. Yeah, I love that show. But the casting is so hard for me because I always have a very clear vision of what the characters look like in my head. So limiting it to like real people gets really difficult. Oh man. I don't know. I'd have to look into this a little more.
We'll leave the casting to Mike then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Leave it up to the director.
There we go. I'm sure he'll pick good people.
Yeah.
Give him complete artistic freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that your like wrap up question?
Yeah.
Well, since we didn't really like go into it, and can you talk a little bit about what the Crow Lord is about then?
Yeah. So the Crow Lord, like I said, it's very different. It's where did the wind go? Like I said earlier, is young adult and it's horror and it's just a bunch of teens in high school. It's fun. The Crow Lord is more of like an adult book. It's fantasy and romance and all that stuff. So very different turn. It also is like written different, where this one's written in first person, that one is in third. So it gets a little confusing, like trying to go back and forth, as I have tried and failed to do. But it's a vampire story kind of set in like, I call it like alternate Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I was very inspired by, and this is also very embarrassing, by the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing movie. I like
that movie.
I love that movie so
That's
much.
a fun movie, yeah.
That would be.
I saw that in the theaters, yeah.
That's a movie that I can say was probably guilty pleasure because
It's pretty bad, but it's also really good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
But when it came out, I remember really enjoying it. But as a reviewer now, I can look back and be like, yeah, a lot of this is kind of bad, but I still
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like I really liked the concept in that movie of, well, what if like Van Helsing and all those people didn't stop the Dracula's children from being born. So the world and setting of this book kind of takes place like from that a little bit. I kind of pull from like the original Dracula story and all this stuff without really mentioning Dracula, because those are just the kind of vampires I like. So I wanted to give that honor. So it's kind of like, well, in this world, Dracula had a bunch of kids with his wives and the vampires took over completely. So now humans are way less than they were before, but it's still like this fantasy setting, and yeah.
Okay. I'm hooked.
Do you I think about this because you were recommended by Hannah and Haley.
Yeah.
And when we interviewed Haley some time back, she was talking about how she likes to slip in little references sometimes to like the Beatles come to mind when
for Take Your Turn, Teddy.
Yeah. Do you have any little like nods that you like to slip into your writing?
Oh man, it's hard because it's not just one nod. Like Where Did the Wind Go is literally riddled in nods.
Yeah.
There's so many in there, but even in this fantasy book, like where they don't know what Dracula is because they've never read the book or stuff like that, I'm still giving nods to these vampire movies that I love. Like Nosferatu is referenced, even things like The Strain or Blade 2. Like I'm trying to like weave in all these vampire references that I love because I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I've noticed a lot of like the references you've put in and where did the wind go, so
Yeah, I tried to do like a bunch of different things, like movies, books, but then also like nostalgic TV shows that I grew up with. Like I know one of the ones is I mentioned Jimmy Neutron a few times.
Oh.
So like stuff like that.
yeah. One seemed like it was like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference.
Which one?
When like they find out that Riley's a fiber.
Oh,
I read it kind of like Jake Peralta going, cool.
I'm pretty sure that was a reference to Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I saw that, I was like, oh, I love that.
Yes. I think that was a chapter that I actually rewrote. So I think I probably had just finished binging Brooklyn Nine-Nine when I wrote that.
Do you get more pleasure when somebody catches all the references, or when you're able to slip one by and somebody's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even put that together. That was really clever.
I like both because like when they get the references, it feels like, okay, cool, I did a good job. People are going to understand it. But when they don't, and then I tell them and they're like, oh, it's kind of one of those moments where I'm like, haha, gotcha.
Yeah.
Only reason I ask is because me and Dave are, what are we on, like year 2 of us saying that we're going to write this thing?
Yeah.
and
yeah, a collection of short stories, so.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I have sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm an editor and like my full time I work like at a non-traditional publishing house, so I read short stories and other stuff like all the time, every day.
I think it's that we're trying to both put in like 5 stories each. I don't know if we've ever come up with a title, but the only reason I was bringing that up is just because I have one out of the 5 stories that I have one like nod that I slipped in that I'm actually really, really proud of, but I don't know if people would
catch it.
I won't say what it is. Just maybe if I get you or Twins in Talent to like read or edit it, I'll say, "Did you catch the? Did you catch it?"
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Oh man, that's always really fun too, because it's one of those where it's like it could be niche enough where like people who are into it will get it, and that honestly always feels really good too when it's like a small circle of people.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe I'm hyping it up too much where I like, did you catch that? I'm like, yeah.
I got it.
You thought it was clever? Nah.
Oh no.
that would be a punch in the gut. Like, oh, sorry.
That always feels bad.
I was super proud of myself about it.
Oh.
I could continue. Sorry for the diversion.
Well, that's about as many questions I have for the book because I'm not, done with it yet. But
I believe that I will see about ordering a copy at least of Where Did the Wind Go for. I like to always have a season giveaway of the books that we've had with the guests on our show. So.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, and that would be great.
I'll see about getting that and then a beanie for myself.
Woohoo! Join the Ghoul Gang.
Yeah.
I will join the Ghoul Game. Right now I'm just a member in name only. I need to get the merch. But before we slightly move into movie talk, would you like to let people know where they can find you and find the books?
Yeah. So pretty much all my books are linked on my website as well as Amazon. But I am JM Failde, FAILDE.com, or just JM Failde on, what am I on? I'm on TikTok and Instagram. I'm kind of on Twitter, but also like, is anybody really on Twitter right now?
It's still kind of going. And then there's Threads for like 3 weeks, and then that kind of died out.
I do have Threads as well, or I don't know. Are people calling Twitter still, or is it X now? I
was just about to
say. I really don't know.
Did Musk call it X already, or what are we?
Yeah, it changed to X, but
what timeline are we living in right now?
I know my app changed, but also sometimes it still looks like normal Twitter, like it has the bird and everything. I don't know. It gets real confusing.
Yeah, we're in the weirdest timeline right now.
For sure.
You heard it here first on Bodybag, but that was dumb.
Yeah. It was very dumb. I agree.
But it's Where Did the Wind Go and The Crow Lord. Keep a lookout for it, and keep an eye out for it in the upcoming book giveaway.
Yeah, and I'm so excited. The Crow Lord, I should probably mention this, is actually coming out October 24th. So I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff for that to like get it ready to go.
Oh, cool. Maybe we'll have it around Halloween time. We'll see about having you pop back on and you can promote it again.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
Awesome. Well, there's still like at least 30 more minutes. Let's see what we can do to scare you away.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, that's a challenge because as it's evident, I apparently love horror, so...
Yeah.
All right, so that leads us nicely into Insidious 2.
Woohoo!
All right, so you told us that you had just finished, binging the entire series?
I did do that, and it was a lot.
Did you watch the most recent one?
I did, yeah. So I watched them all kind of like in lead up to that one. Because I love 2. It had been years since I've seen the first one, and I think I see the third one regularly, but for Insidious 4, which I think is called The Last Key?
Yeah.
Okay, I always want to say The Lost Key, but okay, The Last Key. That one I feel like I've only seen like pieces of, but as I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, I've definitely seen this. Okay. So,
me and Dave had only seen the first Insidious, and I hadn't seen it since it came out years ago.
okay.
I don't know why I've never watched the other ones, because I remember genuinely enjoying the first one, so I went back, watched that one.
Well,
Still good, yeah.
Insidious wasn't my franchise. The other James Wan franchise, Saw, is my franchise.
Oh, nice. Okay. Saw was my original James Wan franchise, and then I do feel like I like The Conjuring a lot more now.
Yeah, I really like the Conjuring universe, everything they got going on. Yeah.
I mean, I can admit that the Saw universe can get a little tiring.
It's not that it gets tiring. I mean, it does, but I mean, I could rant about the Saw universe too. Yeah.
And it gets convoluted with all the stuff, flashbacks and stuff like that. It's like, all right, like you made a mistake by killing him off in the third movie. Because,
and I think they realized that once they like brought him back, probably for like 6 more movies after that.
Like, damn, we really should have kept him alive or something because this is making it real.
Yeah.
And they're coming
because wasn't Juan and Winell only part of like the first 3, right? When it comes to writing them, yeah. And
they just recently said 10 is going to be coming out.
Man, that's so much, and that's the thing. I remember, I think it was 7. I think I saw that one in theaters, and that was the last one I saw in theaters. But it was like the last chapter or the final chapter. Like it had one of those kind of subtitles, and I was like, "Oh man, this is going to be huge." And then after that, they've made so many more. I saw. Excuse me, Spiral.
I haven't seen Spiral.
I saw Spiral, yeah.
I don't know why. I haven't brought myself to watch it yet.
But Saw 10 is supposed to take place in between Saw 1 and 2.
I saw what the premise is supposed to be. Another kind of prequel to when Jigsaw went to, I think it says like Italy or something like that, seeking a cure for when he had cancer, and then it turned out he was getting duped by the surgeon who said they could help him, but then turns out that he was just getting scammed. So guess who gets a trap just for them?
Yeah.
So I guess this one's going to take place at least for some part of it in Italy, probably.
I believe so. I think the Vatican or something. I don't know, somewhere.
Oh, well, that's fun.
But
I've been watching so much like exorcism, Vatican stuff lately, so that.
Oh, did you watch the Pope's Exorcist?
I love that movie.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It was an unexpected Russell Crowe. I don't ever care for him that much, but his Italian accent was fantastic.
Thinking about the Vatican makes me think about like the Da Vinci Code and like Angels and Demons. And I just went back and rewatched those the other day.
Well, but before we get into the Insidious universe, since we're talking about Italy and all this, I don't know if you guys ever watched the like Murder on the Orient Express or Death on the Nile.
So funny, I actually have not seen the movies, but I've read all of the books, and I have a lot of grievances with the newest one coming out. I
was just about to mention the something in Venice, or something of Venice is
haunting. I think it's Haunting of or Haunting in Venice.
Haunting in Venice.
Yeah, it's supposed they're moving more into horror. See,
which
I've
is
only
interesting.
seen Murder on
What is your grievance?
Express, yeah.
What's your grievance?
So my grievance is that I've read the book, which is it's
spoilers,
just called no spoilers. It's just called Halloween Party is the book. But the book is not scary at all. There's
Okay.
no like mentions of ghosts, and the Halloween party is a children's Halloween party. So it's kind of like, well, where is this like seance from the trailer coming from and like all this other stuff? I'm excited, don't get me wrong, because it does look fun. It just is taking a
Yeah.
different turn than I was
Would you
expecting.
would you be happier if it wasn't based off of that story? If it was like from the universe of these books? If it was like its own separate thing?
I think that would make more sense, yeah. Because I feel like I'm gonna know who the killer is now based on the fact that I read the book.
Hmm.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like it's better when movies don't follow the book beat for beat. They just kind of do their own
Yeah.
thing, tweak it just a little bit so we get a different experience than from reading.
Right.
Dave, is it that time already?
Trains come
Is
through,
it,
yeah.
is it really train time already?
Yeah,
Right on schedule.
right. Living a couple blocks from a train tracks, somehow it still makes it to my house, the noise.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow it always manages to pass by right when we're recording.
Yeah.
Well, it's authentic. There you go.
Yeah.
Just so you know, this is real. This is
Yeah.
I'm not AI. I live by a train track.
We're just regular people doing a regular podcast. You can hear the train in the background.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, but Insidious though. Let's go. Let's
Yes.
move to the franchise that we were talking about now.
Yeah.
Insidious. So, So I hadn't seen it. I had to. The only thing I remembered about the first Insidious, I had to review it, was the lipstick face demon.
Yes.
Yeah, red face. Yeah.
I always call him Darth Maul because that's
Yeah.
just
He
does
what
look like
looked
Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Exactly like Dark Maul. Yeah.
Apparently, he has a couple names like Skrillex or Skrillex or something like that, or
Yeah, I
Red
have
Face
heard of
Demon.
that.
Yeah.
Lipstick face demon. I just call him Red Face Demon.
Yeah. I think I have
Oh,
heard
red
all
fa-
of those.
Yeah.
Is chapter 2 your favorite of the series?
I think it is. It's hard because when I rewatched one while rewatching all of them, I realized how well it holds up still.
Mm-hmm.
So there are still a lot of things in one that I was like, man, this is really cool. And it feels like such a slow burn movie, whereas two kind of like starts and things are happening like immediately. But I would still say two scares me more. And for like a franchise like this, I almost base my favorite on which one has the biggest effect on me. So like I do that with the Conjuring series. The second one is the one that freaks me out the most. So that's my favorite Conjuring movie.
And before we delve too deep into the specifics, Dave, you got a one sentence sum up? We usually like to just give a quick, if you don't want to have the movie spoiled, but you kind of want to know what it's about, we usually do a one sentence sum up of what this movie's about. It's haunting. It's what would you say is a good just one sentence sum up there, Dave?
So it takes place like right after the first one, and you realize the haunting's still happening because now Josh is possessed.
The haunting continues. That is the one sentence.
There you go. Yeah.
Haunting from the first one continues, just a different entity is now haunting him.
I have to say, I agree with Rose Byrne's character. I would have moved yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Oh well, here's a question for you. Let's say it was your boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
At what point does your relationship like go out the window, and you're like, all right, well, I love you, but I'm out.
So that was actually really it's funny because while rewatching the movie, I was talking to my friend, and we were just like, man, if she doesn't divorce him after this, she's nuts. And so I think pretty early on, I would say.
I was like, because I write notes on as I watch, and one of my first ones was, at what point do your marital obligations stop and you just leave? And you're just like,
it's also so hard because in the entirety of the first movie, he's just like, no, there's no ghosts, you're just crazy, blah blah blah. And then obviously there's ghosts.
At least you're a fraud. You get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, like, when he starts in the second one saying no, that's when I'd be like, well, like, obviously it just happened. So
yeah. The dude doesn't even remember the song I wrote for him.
Right?
Exactly. That's pretty messed up. I definitely leave at that.
So it definitely, as you said, the first one being a slow burn, this one is more
picks up where it left off, basically.
Yeah, it was starting off with seeing Josh as a little kid, which you find out later. Apparently, time travel exists.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
and the further time is malleable, basically, is what they explain.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, and that's kind of where, like, in this rewatch, I'm like, maybe they had a really good thing with the first one, and they didn't need to expand on it because now it's just complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And usually, time travel does tend to do that with shows and movies.
Yeah.
Once you start experimenting with time travel, you're like, all right, you're about to do some ridiculous stuff now.
And they did do those ridiculous things.
But I will say, there are some things I like, some things I didn't like about this. But one thing that is universal in this franchise is I do like Patrick Wilson.
He's awesome.
I think James Wan agrees with you guys because he puts him in everything.
Yeah, he's still doing it now. And
I don't know if this is going to be a controversial take, but I think he has better chemistry with Rose Byrne than he does with, was it Era Farmiga in The Conjuring?
That's what I was thinking, because when I was watching with Rose Byrne, I was like, that's how unfamiliar I am with his universe. I was like, I thought he was married to Vera Farmiga.
Yeah,
and completely different universe.
That's why it gets confused so easily too, because he's like, the main guy, like, and kind of like a father figure, because less so in the Conjuring universe, but I know he is a dad in that.
He's like,
I think in the that he has a child in the
he Conjuring. Is to James Wan what Leo DiCaprio is to Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
Just put him in everything.
Just put him in everything. Hey, if it works,
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he does a really good job. And I remember like seeing him in the first movie and then going to see the fifth movie. I was like, dang, this is different. Yeah. There's like a big time. You could tell the time difference.
So, as the movie like is going along, I'm sitting here just writing notes about all these scares that are happening. I'd like the idea of ghosts not having anything better to do than just singing nursery rhymes and moving chairs around. It's always nursery rhymes.
It's always nursery rhymes.
In this case, row, row, row your boat.
Yeah, like can they learn anything else? Like,
I mean, I guess
learn some different songs, ghosts. Like, we're in 2023. Let's learn some music from like the 70s or 80s.
I was gonna say, I want to hear a ghost singing to the window to the wall.
Yeah. Exactly. And I don't know, I guess, and like honestly, row 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 your boat isn't even, it's not a scary one. So
no, any song can be scary if it's sung by a little kid in a very slow.
That's true.
Yeah.
Including to the window, to the wall.
You need a high pitch to the window.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Dimly lit room, and you're the only one in the house.
Yeah, that would freak me out if I saw it. Like, yep, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys think of this antagonistic entity as opposed to the one in the first Insidious?
It's hard because I do love the Darth Maul guy, but I didn't feel like he did much in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the Bride in Black, and then the Bride in Black's mother figure. Like, she's not so scary, the mom, but for some reason, some of the scenes that creep me out the most are with her. So I like it visually a lot.
Yeah, I think the Bride in Black is way creepier than the red-faced demon. It's just kind of like the Uncanny Valley. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like
okay, but there's something offsetting about it.
Right, and it's kind of like I feel the same way about the Nun. So
yeah,
it like I freaking go to sleep to horror movies, and I feel like I'm pretty like what's the word?
Numb to it.
I'm very numb to horror content because I am consuming it nonstop. But for some reason, the Nun always freaks me out visually, and the Bride in Black always does similar. So I think that's really what made this movie stand out to me more than the others.
Is it wrong that the mother Death, I think Mother Death turned out to be Parker, but his mother Is it weird that she was making me feel some kind of way? I was kind of digging her. I was kind of having the hots for her, in all honesty.
She
that's
kind of
weird,
resembles the hot Resident Evil 7 lady.
Yes.
Or I don't
for the
even know
video
if it's
game, like
7.
the
Yeah.
giant
Lady Dimitrescu?
Yeah, like they
Yes.
kind of got the same vibe going on, so I don't think it's that weird.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure, like when we saw the flashback of her like as not a really like demon, like I was like, she kind of bad. Like she like, she.
Yeah.
All right, good. Just making sure I wasn't the weird one. All right. I just had to kind of throw that out there. It would be put me in that universe. It would have been a very different movie.
Oh man, that's awesome.
That would have been a very, very short movie.
Very short. But yeah, she's I the scene that always sticks out to me actually is with her. It's when she slaps Rose Byrne's character
Oh yeah.
Yes.
and like screams. That I think it's just the jarringness of it. It always gets to me. I'm always like, am I gonna turn around and get slapped in the face right now?
Yeah, just a ghost yelling, "How dare you!" and slapping you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's the worst kind of ghost. The ghost that just ambush slaps you.
Yeah.
Now, well, the ghosts and the I will also say one thing I did like about it. I'm getting all the stuff I like out first.
Yeah.
This had a budget of, I believe, $5 million, which not by now I don't know how it would have been by their then standards, but not too much money.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
Pretty
know-
small budget. Yeah.
Yeah, I know these movies in general typically have super low budget and then
Which I
super
respect.
high
Returned. Yeah.
return. Yeah. So
I respect it.
Yeah.
And what I do like, even though it's very simplistic, I do like the look of the further.
I love it. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, all it is the house with the lights turned off, pretty much. But
Yeah, and then they shut all the doors. Yeah.
And like a fog machine, and that's it.
Yep.
in a fog machine, like literally, I've done that for Halloween at my house sometimes, and but I don't know, it's just something. It's just a neat feel, just because you can only see really like maybe 3 feet in front of you, so you're always at risk of running into some kind of creature.
Yeah. In this
Yeah.
in this rewatch, I realized actually how similar the further is to the Upside Down from Stranger Things.
Yeah, it is kind of like that.
Yes. Yeah.
It has the same like fog and the black surrounding and like kind of things coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. We could say the further probably inspired the Upside Down from Stranger Things.
I would think so.
Yeah.
It's a simple concept, but I thought done pretty well with this. Just it's our world, but not.
Yeah.
Just something off about it. Yeah.
And just a
And
cool
what-
way to work with a low budget too.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think that's one of the things that pulled me to this movie when I was younger and like when they first came out. Sleep stuff is my biggest fear. I'm terrified of having sleep paralysis. And so when this kind of went on that of like the night terrors and the lucid dreaming and all that, I think that is just so cool and such a scary concept that I don't know. I think these first 2 movies really did well with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I do know why. I like the idea of astral projection.
That'd be so cool to be able to do.
I think the reason why I like it is just because this is going to be kind of way out of left field. Were you guys familiar with the old animated Jackie Chan adventure
I
show?
loved that show. Yeah.
Yes.
The talisman that was the talisman that was associated with mine, which I think was the Chinese birth zodiac, which was the sheep. I believe that powers astral projection.
Oh, cool.
So
So you've always felt a kindred spirit with it.
whenever I hear about astral projection, that for some reason just kind of piques my interest a little bit.
Yeah.
I know that's
awesome.
I wasn't expecting to connect the Jackie Chan adventure animated show to the Insidious franchise, but there you go.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we are. Again, that was just me throwing in a bit of useless trivia for you.
Hey, I think it's great. I think Jackie Chan Adventure was my favorite growing up. So think
Takes
it's
back to
perfect.
Saturday mornings.
oh yeah.
A very nostalgic episode of Bodybag.
Yeah. We've talked
Yeah.
about Jimmy Neutron.
But I really like how James Wan shot this movie. There's so many great scenes of just how it's shot.
Yes.
Like in the very beginning, in the interrogation, how we just come up to it like we're coming from the further to see this interrogation. I love that shot.
I didn't even put that together. I didn't even make that thing. That it was kind of like you were seeing it from the other or the further.
Yeah.
Rather. Yeah, that's a good point out. I didn't even kind of put that together.
Yeah. That is great. Yeah. That whole scene I think was really cool, and just like the noise too.
Yeah.
They like the sound mixing in this movie was really fun with just like all like you kind of could tell with the possession as it was happening.
Yeah.
I will say that though this isn't necessarily my genre, his strong suit is definitely his cinematography. So he does shoot a very good movie.
Yeah. It's a lot of good foreshadowing going on, and yeah. I've really become a big James Wan fan lately.
I might have to see, like, I don't know which one comes after this one, but they did leave it open enough that I was like, all right, well, what's happened? What happens next?
Yeah, I'll have to watch Chapter 3 and then The Last Key before I try to see what's the newest one? Is it
The Red Door?
The Red Door. Okay, yeah.
Foreshadowing in this one,
yeah. So 3 is a full prequel, like it's all the way at the beginning. And then 4 is also a prequel, maybe?
Does The Conjuring intertwine with this at all, or is that just its own separate thing?
Totally its own separate thing.
Yeah. Okay. Conjuring is in the Annabelle universe, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Conjuring is Annabelle,
the Nun, and
was it La Llorona?
Yeah.
That's all James Wan too, as well, right?
Correct, yeah. And then there's his newest masterpiece, if I may say, Malignant, which is its own completely different thing.
Yeah.
I remember everybody talking about Malignant when it came out.
Yeah.
I think it was the biggest gotcha in horror for a long time.
Anyway, now, unless y'all want to keep praising that, I was going to go into some stuff that I didn't much care for.
Yeah, let's
do
it.
Do that, yeah.
I gotta say, the two dudes that they got to help are the most useless backup I've ever seen, and we're gonna hang out in the van, send the old man in with a wire. We're gonna let Patrick Wilson's creepy ass be creepy for a while and not bust in until the dude basically has a knife at the guy.
Yeah. Which, fun fact about that guy, because I only realized this in this recent rewatch, the shorter of the two guys is Adam from the first Saw movie, who also is the co-writer for Insidious 2, 3, and 4.
And so
Lee Winnell.
That was that. Wait, that was Adam? I didn't notice that was Adam.
Yeah, because he works with James Wan a lot.
I know that, but wait, is it because he had facial hair or something, or was I just not paying attention?
I mean, he does. I thought he looked different than Adam too. I don't know if it was the outfit, maybe, or the glasses. They just made him look so nerdy compared to the normal dude that Adam looked like in Saw.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch. I didn't even see. I was watching. I didn't even notice that he was the same dude.
See, Lee Winnell has a lot of talents, but I never really like his acting.
I've heard that.
I feel like
people.
This is probably one of his best performances in Insidious too, but.
I've heard the same from other people.
Directing and writing, amazing. Acting, average.
Yeah,
but but as backup, useless.
Awful. Yeah.
Now I had a question, and I wasn't sure of what did they give a reason why Josh is possessed by Parker,
right?
And for some reason, he just doesn't kill the family. He's killed tons of people up to this point. Was there a reason why he just didn't kill the family? He was supposed to take possession of the son, right? That's what he was trying to do.
He's been trying to take full possession of Josh since he was a kid.
Yeah. And I think
he just wants a normal life. Yeah.
Well,
I think he had a crush on Rose Byrne too.
Well, he was having a conversation with his mother, and she said, "Your body's gonna wither away unless you kill them," is what he was saying while he was in the mirror. So I was like, all right, well, if that's what he has to do, why doesn't he do that? I mean, he's killed tons of people up to this point.
Yeah, I think the only reason he killed Elise is because she's the one who stopped him from possessing Josh as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And she also realized that he was possessing Josh, so he had to get rid of her.
So was the only reason why he wasn't killing everybody else is because he was trying to like just take over his life and be a family man?
Yeah, he just wanted to live a life that he got stolen from him, so...
I think he had the hots for Rose Byrne, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, because he was sniffing his. Yeah, well, yeah. Rose Byrne is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you have Rose Byrne and the Ghost Lady.
Yeah.
No, Rose Byrne's she was in the 28 Weeks Later we reviewed.
Yeah, we just reviewed. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome! I love that movie. I did not remember that she was in that.
Last season was the season of Luke Wilson. This is the season of Rose Byrne.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a question that I had in my head. It was because it made it sound like in order for him to keep possession of Josh's body, he had to, for some reason, kill him and the family. So
yeah, that's like one of those things I think they keep like open to comprehension, because when Parker was alive, he was killing women for his mother. Mm-hmm. So it could be his mother just telling him that.
Uh-huh.
And it's just a way to kind of trick him into killing more people for her again.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good point, because she was very like manipulative the whole time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it definitely seemed like he got a lot of inspiration from Psycho because of the whole mother thing and dressing up like a woman.
Yeah.
To kill people. But I wouldn't have minded seeing like a slasher with him as that villain, like that backstory.
Oh, that would have been a really cool segment if they did like a flashback of him actually killing. Because I think
they gave away the reveal.
Something, yeah. But they did it in a funky way where, I don't know, that would have been a much cooler movie, I think.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah. I think that would, like, if you like got periodic flashbacks of the Bride and Black killer, and then at the end you reveal it was him dressed up like his mother, or dressed up in a bride thing because his mom always wanted a girl. I think that would have been a little bit, but I mean, you can't really base a movie on what you would do. You have to base it on what you have been given.
Yeah.
But I have to ask you guys, when Jeff's possessed and Patrick Wilson's acting possessed, did you guys also get like Jack Torrance vibes?
Yeah, especially when he had a bat and he was like trying to bust down the door. I was like,
or like and like breaking a hole in the wall. I was like, oh yeah, definitely.
I was like, I definitely see. I was like, that's why I was like, all right, I see bits of The Shining, I see bits of Psycho,
definitely
bits of the Poltergeist.
Yeah, Poltergeist. Because I don't know, even the house looked so similar.
Yeah.
I will say that because near the end, Parker has possessed Patrick Wilson's character Josh for a couple of days at this point, and his teeth are falling out, even though he has a perfect set of teeth. And you can tell that dude looks not in good shape. That body is wearing down, yet can still take on 2 able-bodied men, an older man, and 2 ladies.
Yeah,
like I don't know. That felt weird to me. I was like, I thought you were supposed to be dying. Like,
I feel like it did the classic like horror movie thing where they just are like, well, he has supernatural strength because he's a ghost.
He's supernatural strength, but he's dying. His body is falling apart, but he's as strong as the Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense.
Yeah, what the hell is Josh thinking when he gets back to his body? Realize he has like 4 missing teeth. He's like, "The fuck happened here?"
Yeah,
and you know the way that Rose Byrne looked at him when he's like, "It's me." Like when you said if she doesn't divorce him, like they are on the road for a divorce, right? I mean that
marriage is on the rocks right now.
Even if he was completely like better, you can't forget that. You just see a killer every time you look at your husband, and you have to be like, "Hey, look, I know it's not your fault." I understand, but this can't.
Anytime you touch me, I just picture the time you were choking me.
Exactly.
Even though it wasn't you. Yeah,
I just keep picturing.
I can't say there is an answer to this question.
Yeah.
Oh, you can say?
I can't. Well, I can't say if you guys want that spoiler.
well, I'm gonna watch it, so I'll see. Don't spoil it. I'm sure I'll find out within the next day or two.
Yeah.
But Yeah, like every time you touch me, I just remember that you were possessed by a serial killer who sniffed my hair every time I passed out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, and I was, I gotta say, I was a little angry at old Elise.
Oh yeah.
She died, and then she just pieced out and left for a while. I was like, I left, and then I was like, when her friend, what's her psychic friend's name?
Carl?
Carl. When Carl entered into the further, and Patrick Wilson was like, "You're dead," and it was like, "We have to find Elise." And I'm sitting here thinking, "Oh man, Elise must be like trapped somewhere or locked in a trunk or something." They're like, no, here she is. Like,
Yeah, she's just there.
She's moved on, yeah.
She came by and like rescued the dude. Like, hey, I'm here. I was like, so you just you knew that these entities were around. You just pieced out.
I do feel like Elise is actually the main antagonist of the Insidious franchise.
Just FYI, if you're gonna continue.
Yeah.
I don't know, like she's just there are things like that, like or like just some of the powers that she's used that I'm like, well, you could have done that a long time ago.
Yeah.
She's got powers. She's got powers, and she is content to be a bystander.
Yep.
Oh, that was another thing that bothered me is when they showed the scene of the younger Elise, but they had the older Elise's voice over the actress. I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, that's
it just
weird.
Feels so jarring.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I knew that there was something weird because when I was watching it, I was like, all right, why does her voice sound a little like not her own?
Yeah.
That's kind of like in I don't know if you saw the second Avatar movie.
No,
I have
we're
not
not
seen
gonna
it yet.
we're not gonna go down that road.
Yeah.
We're not gonna go down that road. It was weird here. I'll say it was weird in that movie too.
I haven't seen any of the Avatar movies.
All right, well, you ain't really. You've seen Pocahontas. You've seen it. You've seen Dances with Wolves. You've seen it.
I've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. Great show.
That I've seen and would rewatch.
Oh, they're making the
Blue
Netflix.
People,
Yeah.
yes, they are.
Which you know, it's their franchise to a very nostalgic Bodybag Podcast.
Yeah.
It's their franchise to ruin. I mean, M. Night Shyamalan did it already, so it's theirs.
I'm so glad I never watched that movie that M. Night Shyamalan did.
Well,
You're lucky.
well, you know, it still hasn't been determined who's going to have creative freedom next season.
Oh God.
you might, that might be what I subject you to.
That's awesome. the truest form of torture.
The real horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan really is a master of horror.
Yes,
Yeah.
and key example, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Avatar. Haha, they thought that they were going to have a sequel. All right, so yeah, just looking at my notes here. Yeah. Time. Oh yeah, the time travel aspect.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I didn't like
No.
that time travel in this. I was
Yeah,
like,
how does he end up in the picture of his old self? Like he went back time.
Yeah.
They're the further. They're not in real life. And the door opens in the real world when he was a child.
It bugged me, and then it really bugged me when Elise basically looked at the camera and went, so that's what that was about. I was like, yeah, I know that's what it was about. I know that you said that to I know that you were saying that to the audience. Yeah, we know that's why it was. I hate it when movies try to hold your hand and be like, you see, that's what
now you understand. Yeah.
Now you get it. I was like, thank
So-
you, Elise.
Can you guys remind me what happened? Like, what does Elise do in terms of like her, like the flashback or the past stuff? Like, what past does she go into? If that makes sense.
It's when Josh was a child and he was an astro projector.
Okay.
She went back and realized that there's a demon trying to possess him, so she suppresses his power. They never really explained how.
Yeah.
They just explained how they forget.
Yeah.
How he forgets everything, but yeah.
So they didn't go like into the first movie at all.
I don't.
Or did they?
I don't think so. It was the intro in this one was them talking about
past,
Josh.
right.
Josh. So I think it was just that bit that I don't think they go into Insidious 1.
Okay. I'm just trying to remember since I saw all of them like in the span of like 3 days.
But I didn't. I thought the beginning was cool. I do like that he was like that they showed, oh, this is what Josh was like when he was a little kid. It kind of shows, his past a little bit. But when they took a picture and then they showed the pictures, like, is that your husband or is that your son? And it was like him as a grown adult. I was like, all right, well, we know we're gonna see him later in the movie. I was like, but in my mind, I was like, how are we going to introduce time travel? How are we gonna do? Like, time is non-linear here. I'm like, really?
You can just go anywhere you want.
If you could go anywhere you want, I would imagine you could probably help your family out by going to the past and like beating up a ghost entity while they were in the room with some other. I would have gone to the past to see what my younger self would have had to say. If I could have gone to and apparently you can just go at will, like to whatever time you want. I'd have gone back to a time where, I don't know, red-faced demon first possessed me and beat him. I would have tag teamed him with my younger self and beat him up. I
definitely feel like kind of what you said earlier. Though, like whenever you introduce time stuff, it gets a lot of confusing, but also like makes you ask a lot more questions.
Yeah,
and I think that this movie is a really good example of that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool, like the way they did it, of like him being a little kid and like pointing, and you're like, oh, who is he talking to?
Who's he talking to?
But the picture thing, I think that really took me out of it. I wish they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Or I think a lot of this stuff is too spelled out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much like with, again, Elise looking at the camera and the audience going, see that happen? And the reveal of who the woman in black was. Again, I think that it's like they were in the writing room and then they were like, oh, like this is how the thing, oh, well, quick, put it in there right now. Like, don't, instead of putting it at the end where it would have been a cool reveal, or not even have him in the picture. Don't have him in the picture and then just have that scene play out and get rid of Elise saying that. The audience would put together, oh, that's who he was talking to.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I don't like it when storytellers feel like they have to hold your hand, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so obvious that like people would recall the beginning and be like, oh, themselves. They don't need the pandering hand holding.
Yeah. Like, I like it when movies can treat their audience like adults and like, or if maybe they don't, and just run the risk of them not getting it, and they'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like act like we have some intelligence to us.
I mean,
exactly.
I guess that would be the thing that I would say is the biggest problem in this movie is they put too much in it.
Yeah. I was just thinking that, like, I was like, wow, this movie had a lot of ideas. Like, you have you have two antagonists technically, because you have the bride in black and the mother, and then you have kind of Josh, who is being possessed this whole time, so you're getting the flashbacks of when he's a ghost, but then also now, but then also time travel.
No. That's for something else. Real quick, when I'll bring that up in our last segment, but yeah, I think that showing and not telling, that's one of the biggest problems that movies suffer from is they don't show but tell. Which is a very big a book thing too. That's you don't want to spell it out for them, but you want there to be just enough for them to be able to get it themselves,
right?
So that is my kind of like final thought, and if I were to like say what my biggest overall issue with the movie is, but I feel like I'm talking way too much. So Dave, why don't you take over a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, like you kind of have to like almost dumb yourself down for the movie.
It does feel that way with. I would say for all the Insidious movies, other than one, it kind of feels that way. That they tell not versus show instead of show versus tell. And you kind of have to dumb yourself down and just be like, okay, yeah, I get it. Thank you for telling me.
It's a good thing because it seemed like James Wan kind of learned his lesson going into the Conjuring movies.
Yeah.
I will say that's a good thing, and that's another reason why I like when we have our guests on, and it's also kind of like with when we had Christopher Robertson on. They have movies that they like, but we can just still tear them apart.
Oh
It's-
yes.
it's like we're not such diehard fans that they're above criticism.
No, and there are very few things that I think I would be that way with, and Haunting of Hill House, bringing it back to that, is one of them. So
Yeah.
that one I would probably fight a little bit more on.
Yeah.
That's the fun thing about horror is
Yeah.
that horror it's kind of like horror and comedy go hand in hand a lot. That
Yes.
we can
Yeah.
we can just poke fun at horror and the stuff like goofy tropes and what's wrong with that, but still at the very end just still have a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the balance of horror too. Like, I mean, there's entire genres and like eras of movies that are all like horror comedy. Like, I would say the entirety of like the late 90s and early 2000s is that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, because every horror movie kind of has some laughs to it.
right.
Yeah.
Even now, like horror movies still have like comedic beats as it's going.
Yeah, I forget where I heard it or what the correlation was, but like there was actual similarities of humor and like it taps into like a similar part of the brain, humor and horror, and also
Yep.
how like a lot of times people will use humor to kind of co-opt
Deflect, yeah.
to deflect the scary.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I definitely did that when I watched both Insidious and Conjuring the first times in theaters. I was making fun of them the entire time.
Like I do that alone when I'm here in my place and it's like night, completely dark. I'm by myself and everything. I hear a creak. I'll make jokes to myself just to be like, ha ha ha. Like,
Yeah.
Good one.
this is where I die. Ha ha.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and go into ratings and scenes of the movie there, Dave?
Yeah, we could do that, yeah.
Unless there's any final things y'all want to like touch on before we get into ratings and end talk.
No, I think we pretty much said it all.
Yeah.
That like the movie's fun, and I do think it's probably, I would still say it's probably my scariest in the franchise.
Mhm.
I think Darth Maul, just again, he doesn't really scare me. He's fun, but not scary. And I think these villains are a lot spookier than the others.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this movie also introduced a lot of new ideas that maybe were a little too ambitious and like too much for this movie.
Maybe needed another
Yeah.
draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it needed some editing, if you will.
Yeah.
There's a two-parter way that we usually end out the reviews, and that's we pick our favorite scene out of the movie first.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually kill the movie, but this movie doesn't really have any.
Yeah, so if
Yeah,
there's
that's
low
fair.
kills, then we say, oh, which, all right, well, actually, I do have one more thing to say. Like Parker let the dudes live. He knocked him out.
Yes, he did. Which was weird.
Yeah.
And then aren't you supposed to be a ruthless killer? They have no skin in the game. Like they're not going to interfere with your family. Kill them.
Yeah, for like a crazed murderer who has like a super high body count, he wasn't doing a lot of murdering.
And
Well,
not
I
only
guess
did
he
he,
only murders women.
and not only did
That
he,
is true.
not
Yeah.
only did he not kill them, but he left them exactly where they were. They didn't
Yeah.
tie them up or anything. Just, and I guess very convenient that the amount of tranquilizer that the guy got injected with was exactly the amount of time that the guy got knocked out. I guess he got his head banged on the floor, knocked out, and concussed.
Yeah, how does that knock you out for that long, though? 'Cause
Apparently,
it was like the middle of the day,
Yeah.
and then he wakes up during night. Like, getting your head knocked on the floor knocked you out for hours.
hours.
Yeah, I don't know.
You need a
It's-
hospital, man. That's
Seriously.
trauma.
And then the dude jumped up and was ready to go. Like, dude, you need to, like you said, you need to go to the hospital, dude. You can't.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be running around. I'm surprised you're alive. They tell you not to go to sleep if you have a concussion.
Yeah.
All right,
At
that was
least
my
drink a cup of water. Yeah,
drink a
or
cup of
something.
water. Like, all right, that was the last thing I needed to say.
Yeah.
But scenes of the movie.
Okay, I already have mine. So
I got mine too.
I
Dave-
got mine, yeah.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and go first, JM?
so I think I mentioned it already, but it's that slap scene that gets me
Yeah.
so good every single time, and just like the rage on her face. Yes, she's hot, but man, she really emotes, and the slap, I feel it through the screen every single time.
With that supernatural Hulk strength, which
Oh,
knocks you
yeah.
out, with
like
the slap knocks you out.
across the room and
Yeah.
knocks you out for the next 3 days or whatever.
Which also, even if so I'm guessing because he was possessed, that's why his fingerprints weren't on the neck
The
of
neck,
Elise,
yeah.
which is kind of dumb. But
Yeah.
but like that insinuates that your entire body would change.
Yeah.
Which I think was happening when he was like losing his teeth. One of my theories is either he was decomposing because he was dying, but the other theory is that he was changing into
Parker. Yeah.
Parker.
I think that would have been interesting because Parker was bald, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He should
I
have
think it
lost
would have
some
been.
hair.
Yeah, I was about to say if he started losing clumps of hair, that would have probably. I would have liked that. I like that theory.
Yeah.
If he wasn't going to get arrested for that, he would have definitely gotten arrested for domestic abuse. Like that woman. That woman would have people would have seen Rose Byrne with bruises, and like she's already terrified. I mean, she's everywhere she goes. You could tell this is a woman on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, though I will say the whole the investigation part of this movie also felt very bad.
Yeah, a woman died.
It was like 2 scenes and then a woman dropped it.
A woman died by strangulation on your premises?
In your house when your husband was the only one in the room with her? It's fine.
Fingerprints didn't match, but no need to follow up. Case closed as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Hard police work right there.
All right, Dave, you got a favorite scene?
All right, so this scene made me actually laugh out loud. Is when he threw the teapot at Rose Byrne. That was just random and hilarious to me.
That is awesome.
She was running away and he just whipped it at her. Boom.
You just got to grab whatever you can. That's like when you find out in Terrifier and Art uses a gun. It's like you just use that, and then just
came out of nowhere. I was like, oh, I thought that was just really funny.
I love,
Mine's also the funny scene. It's when they're talking to a little ghost girl, and she said, if my mom says I'll kill you if you don't leave, and they're like, okay, and then they just walk out, leave, and then they just leave, no questions, no. Where are you okay, little girl? Just all right, peace.
Yeah, like all right.
Yeah.
That was the funniest scene to me. Just mommy will make me kill you if she finds you. They just look at each other and go, all right.
Well, we better leave. All right, let's go.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Say less.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So 3 potentially comedic, again, horror. Well, you have the slap scene and then 2 funny scenes. So yeah, horror and comedy really do go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So ratings, Dave, you want to go ahead and explain the rating system we got here?
All right. So our rating scale, it's out of 30, but it's broke down to 3 parts out of 10.
Okay.
So 1 out of 10 for the story, 1 out of 10 for like the technical, so like the score, cinematography,
Okay.
And then 1 out of 10 for enjoyment. And then you put that together and get the score out of 30.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so we usually start off with technicals. I'll kick it off.
Okay.
So out of 10, like I said, I think that James Wan's strong suit in this whole thing is definitely the cinematography. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was shot very well. And again, for a genre that's not really one that I tend to get into, I was very the cinematography did keep me engaged, and I did like how it was shot. I
think I agree with you there. I was thinking 8 also for the movie. Because the sound, the cinematography, all of it was really good. Mm-hmm. And it honestly, more so than even the story, that setting is what build the tension and the scariness of it.
Mm-hmm. I'll even put in the further as part of the technicals because for what they did on a low budget and how it's simple but effective.
Yeah, that's why I went 9. There's so many great shots in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I went 9 out of 10 for the cinematography on this one.
All right, so we all pretty much agree that its technicals are high.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Story. I was debating on giving it a 6 or 7 just because it was a decent continuation. it did pick up directly after the first one. Now, I don't know if the two styles blend that well, seeing as how the first one was slower
Right.
and this one. So I don't know if you were to watch it back to back. I don't know exactly how well that would blend. And there was a little too many of like, why would you do that scenes for me?
Yeah.
Like one of them being when the guy Carl he picks up one of the decayed tooth, and then he's just sitting there looking at it. Like I was like, shows a close up shot of him like sitting there examining. I was like, dude, this is not the place to be like.
Why are you examining the tooth right now? Like, come on now.
And to be fiddling around with your tranquilizer. First off, that tranquilizer should have been armed and ready to go. Like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have been sitting there fiddling with it. Looking like if you looked at it from behind, he just looks like a dude jacking off in a trench coat. Like he's fiddling around with something.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that the other two dudes were kind of useless. So I said that the story for me was about a 6, which is above average.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
I'm actually gonna go even lower than that, and I would probably give the story like a 4.
okay.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this earlier, but I think they really could have done a lot more with Parker.
Okay.
They built that up really well, like the dynamic between him and his mom, and took those beats from Psycho, but I think it kind of just stops. Like we don't know his story post just being that murderer figure, and like why he's kind of doing this other than his goal of like becoming human, but also why does he want to become human?
Yeah.
So
I guess I gave it one extra point also, just because, as you said, it had ambitious and ideas.
Yeah. It did have a lot, and I think that's probably why I gave it slightly less, just because of the fact that like anytime you introduce time stuff, it just gets kind of complicated, but also feels sometimes like a cop out. And this didn't really do that, but it just kind of, I don't know. It got more complicated for no good reason, I think.
Yeah, that's why I probably put it at 5. Like, some of the stuff just didn't need to be in the story at all.
Right.
And then there's other things, like you said, with Parker, they could have probably went more into his backstory than they did. So, yeah, I went with a 5.
Okay. Actually, since we talked about this, and I should have put this in this category, I'm going to put story for 5 for me as well, and enjoyment was going to be 5, but enjoyment for me is going to be 6. So I'm going to swap those two.
Okay.
So story for me is going to be 5, and enjoyment will be 6. Enjoyment being, like I said, if a good thing is shot well, and I do like the actors, it can bring up a poor script for me. And like I said, I like Patrick Wilson. He's definitely the best part of the movie for me. And the shots were good. And sometimes it can be disappointing when you have ideas and you don't follow through with them, or you do them poorly. But I will say that some of the ideas were at least, I liked what they could have done.
Yeah.
And I liked the further. So story for me is 5. Enjoyment, I'll put 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, as mentioned at the beginning, that this is my favorite Insidious movie. So my enjoyment of this is definitely like higher. Like I want to say it's probably like a 7 or 8. I'll go with 7 for that number for now.
Be honest. I mean, we all like what we like, so
yeah. And it's one of those where I think it's all because of the scary things that happen. Like the scary scenes do feel scary, and even though I would like those scenes to be expanded on a little bit more, like all the ghosts, for example, that were in like the basement, we see those like one other time, but it would have been so cool to have those around more. But the few scenes we have with them are super scary. I'm gonna give it a 7 just because it definitely spooks me.
Yeah, and I will say that were those ghosts the victims that were killed?
I think they were Parker's victims.
Why were they terrorizing the kid for?
My theory was that they were trying to like not help him, but kind of let him know.
Yeah, that Parker they weren't like attacking him. They were just like, hey,
Well,
he's in
they
your
did,
world now. Yeah.
well, they did all ambush him onto his bed and were grabbing at him.
That is true.
Yeah.
See, so that's like a plot line that I think would have been awesome if they explored a little bit.
I
If
thought
they were
that
grabbing him because
yeah.
of a reason.
Like maybe they were all trying to be like, he's the lifeline to get back to the living world or something.
Yeah.
Like,
But for me, enjoyment, I'm probably going to go with 7 because I can see myself rewatching this movie quite not often, but every now and then when I'm in the mood for a good ghost movie.
Yeah, it was still like, I mean, I what I put at a 6. Yeah, it was better than a lot of other ghost movies I've seen.
Yeah.
You know, flaws and all. I mean, no movie is without its flaws. So,
Right.
I mean, I can't. Well, let me ask. Well, no, that one's not a ghost movie. Oh, never mind. I was gonna ask you about Lake Mungo, but that's not a ghost movie.
Oh, I saw that recently.
I won't. Well, what did you think of it?
Oh man, I think apparently this is a hot take, but I did not like it.
Oh, never mind.
Yes. Thank you.
Never mind.
Thank you.
When you said yes, I was like, tell me how awesome Lake Mungo was so I can rub it in Dave's face.
I feel like I watched the wrong movie because I'm like, everybody's talking about how great it is, and I'm like, why though?
I'm like, this is a boringer version of the Poughkeepsie tapes.
To be fair, I wasn't saying that it was like God's gift to cinema. I just recommended it to you. I just said, hey, this movie, I liked it. Okay, maybe you would like it. All right. Let's just move on.
No, but like internet-wise, Lake Mungo is like, for some reason, highly regarded. Yeah.
I will
say,
I
feel like I want to rewatch it for sure because I'm like, I don't know.
Sorry, I just feel like I have to defend myself because I
was like, it's so boring. You're good.
I don't think that a high 90 it was worth. I think it maybe should be like a 75.
Okay.
I don't think it's like at a 94, 95 on the old tomato meter. I would put it probably at more like a 70, 75.
I would have probably put it like 65.
That's fair. I mean, I can understand. I got nothing to say.
It's a confidently shot film. Like you can tell it's a good film. I just found it, I'd say, boring.
I was honestly debating I don't know how I was going to finagle Lake Mungo in there. Like, you haven't happened to see Lake Mungo, have you? Like, so just tell me what you think of it.
Yeah.
Hated it. All right.
I know. Sorry. I mean, okay. So hate's a strong word for this one.
Yeah.
Because I did like aspects of it, and I see why it's cool. I think I was just recommended it, but in a very like, it's so good, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, so I went in expecting a lot to happen, and then when it's the slow burn movie, I'm like, oh, this is not what I was expecting as I came into this at all.
You really sound like Dave. And the funny thing is, this is going to come out before that bit later on because I recommended this movie to him in one of our segments, but that isn't going to air until a couple episodes later. So,
nice.
So we're talking about Lake Mungo right now. People are like, why is he talking about Lake Mungo for? Tune in a couple episodes later. You'll know why. All right. Well, fair enough. Oh, but anyway, so what's the overall scores there, Dave?
My overall score was 21 out of 30.
Mm-hmm. Do you have everybody else's?
No.
Oh.
I wrote down mine.
Cutting it, I lost track of you guys' numbers.
I wrote down mine just in case.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta do math. I think it was I think mine might be 20 because it was 8 for technicals, 5 for story, 6 for enjoyment.
Yes.
19.
19 then.
Oh, yeah. I'm at 19 also.
All right, so Dave, you liked it the most out of every one of us. It wasn't
evidently, yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't even your recommendation.
Yeah.
All right, well there we go. So again, another movie that still technically not bad.
No.
Usually 15 when a movie's about 15. That's basically kind of like your run of the mill
average.
Yeah, that's the average, the halfway point.
Average
this
halfway
one's
point.
Between 19 and 21, so it's like
60.
Borderline good. Yeah.
It's like upper 50s, about 60.
Yeah.
What would you guys say has been your lowest rated film?
Well, we did a season
A
of
season of-
Certified Bad last season.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
What was our least favorite episode last season?
Mine was I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
And mine was mine Soul Survivor?
I think so, yeah. I mean,
Uh-huh.
both are just awful movies, but
Then again, I don't know where's yours ranked, but that Hanukkah movie,
yeah, there's also Hanukkah and then
House of the Dead,
Venom.
Venom.
We've
Oh,
watched
yeah.
a lot of bad movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, which was your least favorite? Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot.
There's a lot of bad horror out there.
Oh yeah.
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 Have you seen Soul Survivor?
I don't think so. I'm like, let me look that one up.
Don't.
Don't look it up.
Don't.
But then again,
It's a waste of time, yeah.
But then again, I know jack shit apparently, so maybe she'll love it. I mean,
Oh man.
apparently,
This does look really familiar. I feel like I probably have seen this on the Sci-Fi Channel
actually,
a
no.
very long time
I
ago.
feel like it would have
No.
probably been played on
No,
the Sci-Fi Channel.
No, you owe it to Luke Wilson to see this movie.
Oh no.
You owe it to Luke Wilson to watch that movie.
Oh, Luke Wilson.
He got me through that movie.
Yeah. It's the 5 minutes he's in it.
Oh man. And fully on the title card.
I think that was the thumbnail for the that we used, wasn't it? It was just Luke Wilson's face. And that was
I think so, yeah. Just picture Luke Wilson.
that was the thumbnail for that review. But yeah, so that's another movie down. That's another movie zipped up in the proverbial body bag, as they say.
Yeah.
And
Woo!
I want to thank you again for taking some time and coming in. This one kind of ran a little bit long. This is good. I like it when
this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, sorry, I talk a lot.
No, I love it when
No,
we
we love it,
lose
yeah.
track.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yes, thank you guys for having me so much.
No, that's good. It's much better than if it was like 40 minutes and it's like, God, I can't wait for this thing to end.
That's true.
Can't
that's
wait
true.
to get out of here. Yeah, no.
You know, what did we talk? We talked a little bit about Jimmy Neutron. We talked a little about talked some horror. Talked about the Wendigo.
Jackie Chan's Adventures.
Jack-
Chan's Avengers. Talked about how I don't know anything and Lake Mungo apparently is awful.
No.
Avatar the Airbender.
Avatar. So you know, this movie had a lot of everything in it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, again, we would like to thank you again for coming on, and we'll definitely be putting out one or both of those books in the upcoming book giveaway.
Ooh, thank you.
And that has been Bodybag Podcast. I've been Chris Thomas, and with me, Broke Rider Dave.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.
That was nice. This was good.
It's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love talking about horror movies, so it's so fun.
and sorry in
Yeah.
advance. A lot of times or maybe it's just because it's Zoom. Sometimes I feel like I cut people off a lot.
Oh no, I
Yeah.
used to do a podcast back in the day, and it was in person, and man, it took such a long time to like figure out me learning like when they were gonna start speaking so that I don't
Yeah.
speak, and I feel like Zoom definitely makes it harder just because you're not like
Well,
seeing them speaking, but
Yeah.
I was about to say, we don't really have an excuse since this is going on year, what? Are we on year 3 yet?
August 16th will be our 2-year anniversary of when we started, yeah.
So we should know better by now.
well, that's fine.
We're getting there. Yeah, we're improving.
When eventually we'll get our own studio, and
Yeah.
it'll be easier. Once we start raking in that sweet Shutter money,
Oh
Yeah.
yes, there you go.
Get sponsorships, yeah.
get that Shutter shout out money.
Yeah.
Oh
But-
man, that's
so-
awesome.
So this will, I believe you said, Dave, in 2 weeks we're gonna try to have
Yeah.
this one out.
This won't become, 2 weeks.
Okay, I'll keep a lookout for it, and I'll share it on all my places.
And
Awesome.
we'll
Yeah.
tag you, and we'll let you know in advance, like the week that it's coming out.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And we'll look forward to possibly having you on in the future. We can talk Crow Lord.
Yes,
Yeah.
let me know whenever you guys want. I'm always around and always down to talk horror movies.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Bodybag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review, or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at Bodybag Pod and on Instagram at Bodybag Podcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.